Howdy everybody, this is Netflix, and today we're getting into the March 27th update for Hawken. I think it's a pretty good update all around, nothing too extreme and nothing nerfed to hell as far as I can tell. I guess we'll go ahead and get straight into it. The overflow and universal experience system has been changed. If you have a mech that's got max XP now, any experience that you earn is automatically going to go into universal pool. Now it only takes one transaction to apply universal XP to another mech instead of having to do it broken up into the smaller transactions. And as a result of this, any experience that players have paid to be converted will be in the free overflow pool, which is a new thing apparently. And it's great because as often as you want to, I think, you can shave off whatever little bits of experience that are in there and transfer them over to whatever mech you want. Sent you a message to tell you that, post-match panel, just to let you know how much experience you get, and then they increased the amount of experience that's given for experience transfers. It used to be 66 for 1 meter credit, now it's 120. They said that they made pretty significant changes to team balancing, so hopefully that means that when random people get pulled out into the match, it's not completely overbalanced, and hopefully they do it before it's the 700 point deficit, you know, in missile assault, when they start trying to pull people in to, you know, make up for that. But we'll see how that goes. Parties may now be split up for a team switch if no one volunteers, so just be aware of that. Later down, they did add a bonus for volunteering to switch, which is great. Mech test drives, any experience you get now on a test drive will be saved. That's fantastic, because previously it was just none at all. You didn't get any experience, so it was kind of a waste to use your time, unless you just wanted to play it for one quick round to see how things worked, and then get back into something that would get you, you know, the experience that you need. And then, let's see, maximum field of view angle has been increased to 110, that's great, so you can see more around you. Players that are team switched now receive a Hawken credit reward. I think it's 150 is what they said, something like that. If a player leaves in the middle of a match, they don't get any Hawken credits. That's wonderful. I thought that was the case in the first place, but apparently not. But here's the most important thing so far, I think, is that they abandoned statistic that got added. It counts as a loss, and hopefully that'll discourage people from just abandoning matches and not trying to fight it out, which is definitely what makes for a more interesting game. For the mechs in general, every single mech got boosted by 2 meters per second, and some of them got a little bit more. They added a 0.4 second delay to your fuel regeneration after you dodge, and that isn't too big of a delay. Half a second is, I guess, somewhat more noticeable. It's just, it will make wave dashing slightly more difficult, and yeah, you'll run out of fuel. The biggest thing though is players can no longer fire their weapons immediately after boosting. That used to be the case because, you know, you'd push your weapons down as you boosted, but I think they increased the delay or something like that. I think it's much more significant. Maybe that's me just looking for that. For the brawler specifically, they increased the boost speed from 21.6 to 24.3, and they increased the run speed on the ground from 12 to 14.5. They decreased the fuel tank though, so slightly less boost time, but you get a faster speed in general, so hopefully that gets a longer distance overall. I feel like doing that math right now. Let's see, the Raider armor got increased from 480 to 515, which is fantastic because for a B class, having under 500 armor is pretty bad. Increased boost speed from 32.4 to 33.7. That's a pretty nice little boost. And then overheat recovery got increased from 4.2 to 5 seconds. And that's probably good because the burst power of the Raider is unbelievable. Sometimes you can drop an A class down to half health very easily with one volley of EOC charges and a grenade from the KLA Corsair. For the Predator specifically, dodging now breaks the Predator's cloak. That's only temporarily, and I think that's completely fair and understandable, because if you're invisible and trying to stock up on somebody, you shouldn't be dodging in the first place. You need to be more careful and just slow, be patient, and go around walls, I suppose. Only use it in the last seconds to get up to somebody. For the incinerator, The fuel regeneration was increased from 7.77 to 8.5 liters, and for the Grenadier, however you want to say that, the boost speed was increased from 24.1, excuse me, to 26.5, and the run speed on ground was increased from 14 to 16.5. For the weapons, this is pretty good stuff. The T-32 bolt, the damage got increased from 12.375. That's kind of a small, quite specific decimal to get down to 15. So that was a 2.625 damage increase. And the time per shot was decreased as well from 0.3 to 0.2 seconds. So increased damage and increased rate of fire. And the fall off distance was also increased. So it's got a further range, faster, and it does more damage, which is great all around. I don't have the T-32 bolt, unfortunately, but I am thinking about buying it now, just for that. The OC repeater mines now last 7 seconds, where previously they were 5, and for a direct hit, which is extremely difficult to do with those mines, as far as I can, as far as I've seen, the direct hit damage was increased from 11 to 13. For the Rocketeer, the Seeker, damage was decreased from 55 to 50, so that's unfortunate, but might be kind of okay because it had lock-on capability, and that plus Hellfires is kind of a lot of damage to worry about, especially in turret mode. The Corsair KLA, damage increased per projectile from 18.75 to 21. So that's a nice little boost. And for the flat cannon, also for the Corsair, I'm not sure if that is about burst mode or talking about the grenade. I'll have to look that up in game. And for the flat cannon, the damage was decreased from 14.85 to 13.5. So it seems like that's kind of a decent jump, but you'll still get taken out very quickly with Scouts. For the HE charge, the high explosive charge, it can now be detonated in midair, which is great. I was wondering why every other projectile could be midair detonated except for it. The hologram now will, when it does its repair animation, healing drones will show up, so now it looks even more like an actual mech, and won't be given away as easily when it goes down to repair. The item repair charge will now have a small disc when you throw it. It can be thrown a bit further if you hold down the charge, similar to the heat charge. And for the incinerator, this section is abilities. For the incinerator's heat dispersion, it added damage fall off. That means that they scaled the damage. People closer to the middle will take full damage, and the further away they will take reduced damage. For some reason they added it to the post-match carousel, so just in case you didn't get to use it in-game, you can use it at the very end. And to compensate for the damage fall off, they increased the damage radius from 32 to 36 meters. And keep in mind that's the radius, not the diameter. So there's an increase of 4 meters on each side that its ability goes out. The turret mode, for all turret mechs, it says that it is no longer possible to spam the turret mode animation. I'm not entirely sure what that means. I thought it had a pretty okay cooldown initially, but apparently it was not long enough. And the turret mode now features a walk animation instead of sliding, which is great. So that'll look a little silly, but I'm glad that they were able to get that fixed up. And see, specifically for the Grenadier, the turret mode now has unique effects for more powerful projectiles. So when it's shooting the grenades from long distance, hunkered down, they'll look different. Game modes in general, in order to win daily win achievements, players have to be in the match for at least 3 minutes for deathmatch and team deathmatch, 5 minutes for missile assault and siege. And that's great because I know I got lucky sometimes and came in at the last 2 minutes of a fight. That was a landslide win, and I got an extra daily win bonus for it, so I thought that was wonderful. The health trigger for the heavy damage base warning was changed from 500 to 750, so increased. Time in pre-match pen is no longer considered a part of match time. I didn't know that. Okay. The health trigger for the critical damage base warning was changed from 200 to 300, also increased. And let's see, co-op, great. New challenge modes, players can now vote on various challenges to earn special rewards in co-op. You have speed freaks, which is allowing the enemy movement speed increased by 250%, enemy armor is decreased by 25, and you get an extra 150 Hawken credits once a day, and then 15 hollow emote charges. So just in case you're running out of those, you can do some co-op bot matches. I guess just playing a bot match period will get you these rewards. You know, it's not like you have to win, since getting through all 25 levels of that is pretty intense. Second challenge mode is glass cannon. Enemy armor is decreased by 25, but the damage is increased by 150%. The reward is 150 Hawken credit daily bonus and 35 consumable charges. So if you're running low on items to do co-op bot matches, you can do a co-op bot match and get more charges. Now the third one is Trust Your Eye, and this is definitely the most fun and or interesting one, because indicators are only visible when your reticle is on a target. So when the middle of your screen is on a target is the only time you see it light up. Radar is disabled. You have to rely on your direct vision, and it's definitely important to have surround sound in this one so you can tell where your shots are coming from. The reward for this one is 150 Hawken credit daily bonus, 1500 experience, which is pretty nice. In the map section, we have Last Eco, and they've blocked off an unfair sniping spot above a large rock formation overlooking the AA from the blue base. It's a very complicated sentence, but above the pyramid, and I don't know if it's north or west or whatnot, but above the pyramid there was a rock formation that was very easy to just murder everyone from, and then duck back into your base because the turrets were basically lined up straight down the bottleneck that the enemy would have to come down, and you could still fire at them and duck behind cover. So it's great that they blocked off that point, and hopefully I can get a shot of that in game. Now for cockpit customizations, we've got new decorations. It's a couple of noodles, fire extinguisher, the tow rocket, Hellfire missiles, and rendering puffer fishes. You can change your HUD colors, and let's see, you can buy custom reticles. I'm pretty sure you can get them for Hawken credits, which is good. There's the drop-down trajectory one that I'm thinking about getting. I think they're about 3,000, something like that. And the general improvements section now. The initial friend online notification will show you how many friends instead of just one for each person that's online. Game chat messages that are not allowed due to spam prevention won't be deleted, so you can resend them. Server status ticker added to menus, so now you can see what each server's current situation is, and added match length to post-match statistics. So that way, that's great. I've always been wondering why they didn't have that in the first place. Added a numerical scale for weapon statistics to the weapon statistic display. That's one of the best upgrades, because the 4 out of 5 or the 3 out of 5 grid only gets you so much accuracy, and you know that there's a couple points here or there that aren't accounted for. And the numerical display is fantastic, because you know the heat cannon has 100 accuracy and super high damage as well, something like that, or low damage, and you can see how much damage the Corsair is supposed to do, for example, and it's great. On the Garage Cosmetics screen, healing drones and taunts can be viewed by pressing their respective keys. Players can now purchase Meteor credits and redeem product codes from the market menu. For the HUD improvements, this is heads-up display, sorry. Kill streaks are now shown on player indicators. That means under your name and on the visor. So up where your control panel is on your mech, basically. So people can see how many kills you have, and you can see a neutral color skull. You can change that around. Mine's currently yellow. Is 1 kill, and you stack those up until you get 5, and as soon as you get 5, you get a friendly color skull, or a faux color skull if it's on enemy kills. So your teammates should have the enemy's color above their heads. Then we have a pretty good section of bug fixes now. We got the current view direction remains when exiting healing. That's fantastic, because having your camera flipped around behind you and then coming out at a slightly different angle is very frustrating for trying to line up and either get away or take the shot when you need it. Cosmetics now equipped correctly after making bulk purchases. Okay. Missile Silo UI no longer really shows only one silo indicator. That was annoying. Turret mode collision now extends to the ground. Grenades cannot be shot under it. That's wonderful for turrets. And actually make me want to try and play some. Players can no longer use the blockade to get on top of towers on Origin. So apparently you could drop a wall and then jump on top of it and then get on top of towers. So apparently you'll fall through the blockade now, something like that. If you're higher, towers will block. Ties and deathmatch are now appropriately reflected. Two players will be seen on top of each other if they're tied. Color block paint patterns now consistent, so maybe the camo or the big checker patterns. The Vanguard and Rocketeer turret mode will now give the correct damage reduction from the front. The VR training players no longer have hover at a slower speed. Okay. And the key bindings, user interface, secondary key bindings will now be assigned to the second spot instead of the first. Kill cam now highlights technician's weapon instead of technician's image. Co-op, the AI health bar on top of the user interface no longer becomes wider than the user interface when the AI upgrades armor. Ready? At high field of vision, cockpit and items are clear and no longer blurry. So that's one. Switching to Japanese Russian language, give instructions on what to do next. Original language to restart. Players can no longer instantly fire when jumping after a boost. That's pretty important because being able to jump and fire at the same time means that you can move in a different axis and maintain the pressure on your enemy. This means that you will have to decide much more carefully when to go airborne and whether or not to stay in the air, land quickly, and whether or not you're going to dash, because the firing got delayed after that too, after boosting. The key bindings user interface now updates properly if the character changes the key binding to a number. Energy units from battleships no longer get stuck on sky collision boxes in Origin. So apparently they got stuck in the sky. I'm sure they're still going to get stuck on top of everything, so try not to chase them too much. Fix a bug where the anti-aircraft missiles would miss the ship and fail to damage it. Suck. Fix siege battleship turret missile visually hitting itself on rare occasions. That will also suck. Fix a broken empty mech showing on winner's carousel if player had left the game. Hopefully that will be prevented these days. Fixed recoil animation of the G2 Assault. That's good. G2 Assault and Predator third-person weapons no longer appear mirrored. One-person. So your interior view is the same as the exterior. Red blue screen of death skin is now represented on holograms. It's kind of cool. Fixed soft lock with the cursor unable to move when logging back in the garage after a network disconnection. Fixed bug where no sound would be heard when destroying deployable turret scanners and scramblers. Post-match results scale / spacing altered for less overlap. So I'm assuming that just means a literal menu. The co-op spectator camera should now be smoother. The turret mode spectator camera should now be smoother. Fixed mouse button stuck on rotating pop-up dialog appeared while that must have been very frustrating. The player's own grenade bounces into his mech and explodes. That's good. Base lifter activation distance / position is now more consistent and slightly lower for depositing energy units, I'm assuming. Fix the end animation for repair mode not playing in certain cases. Fixed joining match in progress not showing proper scoreboard. Fixed a bug where an off-screen objective below you might rotate 360 degrees instead of taking the shortest path. That also must have been very frustrating. Fixed locked radar rotation not showing proper position for points above or below player. Okay, so obviously it was just displaying the wrong heights, something like that. Fixed a bug where shields could be placed on a mech's head and stuck there. That would be great for moving bubble. Improved visibility for EU/health orb collection effects. That's good. Fixed possibility of wrong loading screens showing if config updating changed order applies. So That's an actual bug fix. Sound for depositing EU in base lifter now audible. Fixed a bug where running into EU trees could cause poppy/bouncy collisions. That's good. Applied camos no longer affect incinerator progression chassis pieces. The elite pieces don't get the paint again. Fixed turrets showing an active ability indicator. Okay, so hopefully they do show the ability now. Fixed a bug where a mech needed to be resaved if camo sliders changes. That's good, I guess. So the RD scanner animation deploys 3 seconds faster to sync up actual repair time. So then that means it's just a cosmetic thing. So great, I'm glad we got through that, everybody. Hope you enjoy playing this new fantastic update and enjoy all of these changes that the great Hawken team has brought to us. Alright, thanks everybody and have a good game.